They believe that Kyle Rittenhouse was a white supremacist who went to go kill a bunch of black people and did, which, no, he didn't. And that Alex Pretti was peacefully protesting. But here's the reality. It's all narratives. It's all lies. There's a very obvious and easy distinction between Alex Pretti and Kyle Rittenhouse. And when you actually look at the facts and the details, you can see this guy, well, he was committing a felony. He was. That's not me being cute. I would argue it's up to analysis. That's fair. But he was part of a group, thousands strong, coordinating and quote unquote on shift is the language they used to obstruct federal law enforcement operations. It's not a protest. He's actually showing up with the intention to interfere, to obstruct. And we heard this from a lawyer that appeared on The Daily Show saying, blocking a roadway is not strong enough to be obstruction. And that was an argument in the Renee Good shooting. The idea that just because Renee Good was in her vehicle doesn't mean that she was actually engaged in any substantive obstruction. You got to do a bit more than that. Well, what about being part of a network where you have shift duty, where people are tracking and stalking vehicles, and then 3 individuals of 50 go to obstruct CBP, resist arrest while armed, and a tragedy happens? It's not a peaceful protest. Of course, I don't think people should be killed. Nobody should be shot. But there is a distinction between peacefully protesting and committing felonies while armed. And that's the truth. But let's start here with this narrative machine that many of you have seen. And I highlight this because it's the easiest way to understand how they are lying to you and to everybody else. And unfortunately, I say this. There are many liberals that don't understand they are being lied to. They don't want to hear it. They don't watch a video like this. They don't want to listen. And don't get me wrong, there are many MAGA pro-Trump people that are very much the same. Come on. Donald Trump retreated from Minnesota, and there are many prominent Trump supporters saying, Tim, you're wrong, you're blackpilling, you're dooming. We've got reporting from Nick Sorter, of all people. Accept the truth. These CBP guys have stated, more than one person, to Nick Sorter, they have been instructed not to go after non-criminal illegals, they're calling it, saying it's just like the Biden era now. Trump's backing off in Minnesota. That doesn't mean you've lost the war, but certainly you've lost this battle. He's pulling out Bovino. I think you just need to recognize you're not going to win every single skirmish. But here we go, my friends. Alex Pretti. This is the easiest way to understand that they're lying to you. And the question is why or what's the goal? And we can answer these questions. But let me at least show you the definitive proof in the simplest of ways. The AI-generated lies to manipulate your perception to make you think something that is incorrect. Now, if you are sympathetic towards Alex Pretti, that was always allowed. If you feel that he should not have been killed, I agree with you. It was an unfortunate circumstance, but I don't believe anybody went there that day with the intention to murder anybody. I don't think the ICE agents, the CBP agents on the ground, I don't think the Democrat, the liberal, the protesters, whatever you want to call them. I think this is what happens when you commit a felony while armed. You resist arrest, bad things are going to happen. Now, before we get to this, my friends, we got a great sponsor. It is AmericanFinancing.net/Tim. Let's be honest. The math just isn't adding up lately. Between the grocery stores, those skyrocketing insurance premiums, even with a steady job, more families are being forced to rely on high-interest credit cards to cover expenses. If you're a homeowner caught in that cycle, carrying balances with interest rates in the 20s or even 30s, it's time to get some relief. Right now, mortgage rates are at a 3-year low. And my friends at American Financing are helping homeowners pay off the high-interest debt rates in the low 5s. Their salary-based mortgage consultants don't just push loans, they build exit strategies from debt. On average, they're saving their customers about $800 a month. Plus, if you start today, you may even delay the next 2 mortgage payments. There's no upfront fees or obligations. To find out how much you can save, Americans Home for Home Loans, American Financing, call 866-890-7811. That's 866-890-7811. Or visit AmericanFinancing.net/Tim. But let's get to the first image here. Mario Naufel reporting Alex Pretti's photo got AI face-tuned like it was an Instagram attention grab, and MSNBC ran it on the air without blinking. No, I think they intentionally did it. Now, here's an image of Alex Pretti. I'll say it again. Okay, guys, I feel bad. I feel bad for the guy. I don't want anybody to die like that. I don't want fighting on American streets. I don't want Americans fighting Americans. But this guy made choices, and these choices created a circumstance. And while I certainly think it's fair to say maybe the agents involved can be taken off street duty, I don't see how you get anything criminal here. It's unfortunate. Now, I wish the guy survived. I wish he lived. I wish this didn't happen. I wish he didn't make the choices he made that day, and I wish things didn't escalate. But here's what the man looks like. You know, I'm not trying to be a dick or be derisive or insulting, but, you know, is he the most attractive guy? No. Well, stay tuned, my friends, because here's the upgrade. And they actually ran this on MSNBC. They've widened his jaw, fixed his teeth, shortened his nose. They've made his head a little bit wider in general, increased his chest mass a little bit. I'm not exaggerating. It is wild how they did this to make the man look more attractive. They put him up on billboards. Now, why do they do it? You may think it was just a simple accident. Well, somebody face-tuned him. They did the same thing to J.D. Vance, and it's because, for one, ease of AI is here, but perception is reality. Luigi Mangione, accused assassin. The women love him. They're all hot and bothered. They're celebrating him. They're holding up pictures of him. They're dressing like Luigi from Super Mario Brothers. Tyler Robinson, alleged assassin of Charlie Kirk, a bit goofy looking. Ain't no ladies getting down on that. The reality is they know that they can generate a lot of support by making someone look more attractive. It's just a reality. I've talked about how I've done fundraising for nonprofits, and the truth is tall men and women with large breasts fundraise better than anybody else. And they tell you not to say that because, civil rights and it's wrong or whatever. Dude, the truth is the truth. Tall guys, deep voices are more attractive. Women with large breasts are more attractive. They're more likely to get people to stop and listen. And they're more likely to get people who are, for the tall guys, it's commanding. And he says, I want you to give me money. They do. For the women that are large and attractive, the men are like, I'll do anything for you. Maybe these people think they're going to hook up. Well, it's an underlying motivator. So in this, I'm not suggesting they want people to, fantasize about this guy or anything, but it's a reality. Attractive privilege, beauty privilege, whatever you want to call it. They are putting out these fake images because they want people not to realize the sympathy they feel is tied to, well, they made him look more attractive. They fixed his teeth. Look, they shortened his nose, widened his face. It's absolutely remarkable. But the truth is, it was just AI. They likely loaded the image and said, tune him up. They gave him a little bit of a tan. This is the narrative game manipulation. And I bring you now to this post from Maj Touré. Now, I know Maj, he's been on the show. I don't think him a bad actor, but I would say this. I believe that Maj is deeply ignorant to what is actually going on and is more concerned as a 2A advocate about the fear of protesting while carrying a weapon being a death sentence. But this is not that case. And again, this comes down to narrative. Many people are pointing out Kyle Rittenhouse. Like you've got this from Jessica Tarlov. Let's hear what she has to say.
And the president.
Have you seen the body cam video? I was unaware you had.
You know what? It's going to exonerate all the agents. You're completely right. Stephen Miller saying an assassin tried to murder federal agents, and this is your response. And J.D. Vance retweeting it says something about where this administration is and how they're considering it before and after the murder of Alex Pretti. And this will go down in history as a turning point for this. Greg Bovino wouldn't be leaving tomorrow if an innocent person wasn't killed.
Innocent.
And the double standards that are being employed for how you have to behave versus how these agents have to behave is mind-boggling to me. Kyle Rittenhouse was a conservative hero, right, for walking into a protest, actually brandishing a weapon. But this guy who had a legal permit to carry and already had his gun removed, to some people, I guess, is some sort of instigator when he was actually going to help a woman who had been pushed down and tear-gassed by... Narrative
and lies. Let me actually pull this up for you because I think it's important. I always like to make sure I've got my sources for you guys, so you know that I'm not just making things up and giving you my opinions based on nothing. The New York Post reports Alex Pretti was among 50 anti-ICE protesters who confronted Border Patrol before the Minneapolis shooting. Here's what we know. Pretti was not a protester. There was no protest. He didn't show up with a group of people to hold up signs and challenge. He was part of this Signal group, organized by some state actors with institutional resources like license plate databases, information on hotels and rental car agencies, rather shocking, with the explicit, trained intention of obstructing federal law enforcement, which is a felony. I'm not being cute. I'm not giving you my thoughts or opinion. It is a felony to obstruct federal law enforcement. So what happened? Well, these groups have shifts, as we've learned. In the Signal group, they'll put an emoji next to them to determine, to signal if they're on duty or off duty. They have license plate trackers and they stalk federal vehicles. Then when the vehicle parks, they get out and surround the person screaming and blowing whistles. The purpose of the whistles is to alert people nearby that Border Patrol, or it's typically ICE, but Border Patrol operates there as well, is here. This is explicit conspiracy against federal law enforcement, a crime, and felony obstruction. Alex Pretti decided before this incident to be involved in this group. He had gone out in one instance and was tackled by CBP, and they busted up a couple of his ribs. He was injured and expressed he feared he would die. He then decided to continue his felony obstruction and conspiracy. This is what he did. Now, you can argue it shouldn't be a crime, but if you are coordinating with thousands of people to stalk vehicles and alert criminals that the law enforcement is there, you've got so many felonies I lost count. Conspiracy against federal law enforcement is what the DOJ is going after Tim Waltz, Frey, and Ellison over. That they're conspiring to obstruct federal law enforcement. You have felony obstruction, and you have the aiding and abetting of these criminals. These CBP guys were actively pursuing a pedophile. This man decided, after being attacked, fearing he was going to die, he would continue these actions. And he decided to come armed. And he brought an extra magazine. Now, I've heard the conservatives say, the extra magazine is nonsense. It's the same thing as crossing state lines. No. Now, I sometimes go out armed, and many people do, and sometimes they bring extra magazines. But we look for intention. What is the intent of going about your daily business well armed and carrying an extra magazine? I don't know, usually self-defense. Maybe it's just you have the right to do it and you felt like doing it. That was always fine. What if your intention is you are going to commit felonies to actively, quote, resist federal law enforcement? I call it obstruct in the legal sense, but they call it resist. What's the difference? And you'd previously expressed you feared they would kill you. The intention is clear. You fear that engaging in these actions could result in actions from the law enforcement which could end your life, and so you've decided to bring a weapon with an additional magazine. I believe that shows intent. Now, you can argue it's self-defense, but if you were engaging in felonies and you think law enforcement might try and stop you, so you bring an extra mag, I think that shows intent.